The 109th time I proposed to my girlfriend, the neighbor kid who'd always had a crush on her attempted suicide by slitting his wrists. She ditched me without a second thought. Why? I tried to get her to stay. She slapped me hard across the face. Lucas is dying, and all you can think about are your own feelings? How did I realize you lack so much empathy? Maybe we need to seriously reconsider our relationship. She couldn't wait to rush off to her childhood friend, completely forgetting that just the day before the proposal, I had pleaded with her, telling her I was a player. If this proposal failed, I would be completely erased. System, I want to give up. Host, you have one last chance. Do you want to try again? The system's mechanical voice echoed in my mind. One last chance, I thought to myself, my eyes following Jessica as she hurried away. I forced a grimace, the bright red handprint on my cheek stinging. Even just watching her back, I could sense her eagerness. Between me and her childhood friend, she had once again chosen him without hesitation. For Jessica, it seemed like that choice always had only one answer. Her figure gradually faded from view. Facing the system's question, I made my decision. I give up. That had been my 109th proposal and also my last. Everything had been going smoothly until I got down on one knee, ready to put the ring on her finger. Someone ran over frantically, interrupting my proposal. It's bad. Lucas tried to kill himself. Hearing this, Jessica barely hesitated, dropping the bouquet and turning to leave. I grabbed her arm, humbling myself completely, begging her. Jessica, we agreed. This is my last chance. Please, just for me, stay. Okay. Faster than any answer was the merciless slap she gave me. Ethan, do you have any empathy at all? She yelled, pointing at my nose, eyes blazing with fury. Someone's life is on the line right now, and you're still trying to stop me. Do you want to watch Lucas die right in front of you before you're satisfied? That slap shattered my hope and snapped me brutally back to reality. I was tired, exhausted. With everyone watching, I gathered my proposal things and went home. As soon as I lay down on the bed, my phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Lucas. Sorry, I won again. This wasn't the first time Lucas had provoked me. In the past, I might have gotten angry, jealous even. But now, reading this text, all I could manage was a rueful smile. Just like these 109 marriage proposals, our relationship hadn't been easy. You could even call it grueling. Jessica is a very independent person. Few people ever truly got close to her. Through sheer persistence, I managed to carve out a significant place in her heart. And for a while, it seemed worth it. For the first 3 years we dated, Jessica and I had a great relationship. According to the system's mission, if my proposal was successful, I could take 10 billion and return to my original world or stay in this one to be with her. I chose to stay with her. Back then, I naively believed love was more important than anything. I was full of confidence during my first proposal. But just as Jessica was about to say yes, a man rushed out and ruined everything. That man was Jessica's childhood friend, Lucas. Lucas took Jessica away, and she didn't come back for 3 days and nights. I panicked, searched everywhere for her, but found nothing. Finally, I found Jessica on the coast in Seaside City. She was leaning against Lucas, the two of them watching the sea, reminiscing about old times. Looking at them, they seemed like lovers, and I was just an outsider. Seeing that scene felt like a knife to the heart, but I still chose to forgive her. After all, I truly loved Jessica, and I knew she loved me too. I could see Jessica's affection level for me on the system interface. It was always at 100%. So I told myself over and over again that they were really just friends. I naively thought that with Jessica's 100% affection level, if I proposed sincerely, she would definitely agree to be with me forever. But that was just what I thought. Ever since Lucas showed up, he found all sorts of reasons to sabotage my proposals. Every single meticulously planned proposal was interrupted by Lucas. The excuses he used to pull Jessica away from me range from seemingly serious car accidents and critical illnesses at first to trivial things like a cold or a fever later on, no matter how serious or minor. Jessica chose him every time, this time to ruin my proposal. He'd even gone so far as to attempt suicide over 100 times. If they weren't tired of it, I certainly was. Exhaustion washed over me. I closed my eyes, but subconsciously I strained to hear Jessica breathing beside me. After all these years together, it had become an unconscious habit, but I don't know when it started. The time Jessica and I actually spent sharing a bed grew shorter and shorter. She was always busy with something, sometimes disappearing for days on end. I wasn't used to it first. I'd suffer from insomnia, sitting up on the edge of the bed all night, waiting for her to come back. Once, twice, 3 times. After a while, I actually started getting used to life without Jessica around. But the chronic insomnia took its toll on my body, leaving me with migraines. My thoughts fragmented, and a familiar headache made it hard to sit still. The pain felt like my skull was splitting in two, forcing me to curl up and endure it silently. Buzz, buzz. The sudden ringing of my phone forced me to get up. It was Jessica. "Ethan, bring that package I left on the table to Northridge. Lucas needs it. I'll send you the address." Northridge was really far from my place, almost a 2-hour drive. Her tone was completely demanding, but this time I wasn't willing. "I'm busy. Get a courier." Jessica clearly hadn't expected me to refuse. She snapped coldly. "Ethan, can't you be more considerate? You won't even help with this small favor." Lucas chimed in from the background with smarmy agreement. "It's okay, Jessica. I know Ethan never liked me. Of course, he wouldn't want to help me." Their bickering made my thoughts even more chaotic, and my headache worsened. I wasn't used to losing my temper. Even with my head splitting, I just said heavily, my migraines acting up. "I don't have the energy to drive." To my surprise, Jessica seemed to think I was faking it. She scoffed dismissively and threatened me. "Let me tell you, if you don't come, we're breaking up." She knew breaking up was the thing I feared most. Yet, she used it as a threat again and again. Jessica assumed I would cave, but this time I reacted as if it were nothing important. "Fine, then let's break up." After I hung up the phone, the migraine I'd had surprisingly started to fade. Eventually, I was actually able to fall asleep soundly. The sound of the bedroom door opening woke me up. I could feel someone lie down beside me. It was Jessica. She'd actually rushed back overnight. Not only that, but Jessica leaned down and gently kissed the corner of my mouth. I wasn't happy. In fact, I felt sick to my stomach, sick enough that I didn't want to wake up, so I kept pretending to be asleep. Jessica just lay there beside me, her scent mixed with the smell of another man. I couldn't sleep. After she came back, I was sleepless again. By the next day, the headache still hadn't gone away. When I opened my eyes, Jessica was still lying next to me, looking at her phone. When she saw I was awake, she instinctively angled her phone away, obviously not wanting me to see what was on it. Perhaps sensing her reaction was awkward, Jessica offered me a faint, appeasing smile. "You're awake. I brought you a present. Want to see it?" Before I could answer, she slipped out of bed and pulled a silver ring from her bag. The silver ring wasn't in a box, and it already had faint scratches all over it. Jessica slid the ring onto my finger herself, saying brightly, as if expecting praise, "Lucas picked this out for you. He knows he ruined your proposal, so he bought you this gift as an apology." Looking at her eager expression, I felt a strange wave of sadness wash over me. I didn't stop Jessica, but as soon as the ring settled on my finger, the skin underneath began to redden, swell, and itch. The stinging kept me grounded, slowly pulling me back from the depths of my love for her. 8 years. We had been together for so long, yet she didn't know what I liked or even that I was allergic to silver. Seeing the ring on my finger, Jessica assumed I'd accepted Lucas's apology. She glanced at her phone, suddenly looking antsy, and hurried to leave. As I watched Jessica turn to leave, I pulled the silver ring off my finger and tossed it onto the floor. This cheap, scratched ring. How much sincerity could possibly be behind it? I never expected Jessica to turn back right at the moment the ring landed. Seeing the ring on the floor, she shrieked and lunged towards me. She snatched the ring up, treating it like a precious jewel. Jessica glared at me, her eyes full of hatred, as if I'd committed some unforgivable sin. "If you have a problem, take it out on me. Don't trash Lucas's thoughtful gift." Her words shattered me. I asked quietly, "Jessica, who is it you really love?" "Jessica," I answered without hesitation. "Of course I love you." She lowered her voice. but her tone was still laced with impatience. Don't overthink things. This gift really is just an apology. You're just so controlling. It's so annoying seeing my silence. She took it as proof she was right and continued her tirade. Her words felt like poison daggers piercing straight to the heart, but my mind fixated on the word she'd used. Annoying. If you find me so annoying, then I won't annoy you anymore. My abrupt reply left Jessica stunned into silence. Jessica didn't care about my answer, assuming I was just putting on an act. Are you sure? She asked. I nodded slowly. I'm sure. From now on, I really wouldn't bother her again. Seeing my determined smile, Jessica wasn't the least bit flustered. Her face was full of mockery. I knew why she was so confident. After all, in the past, even if she was gone for just a day, I'd be too anxious to sleep. As far as Jessica was concerned, I simply couldn't live without her. Jessica gave me one last deep look. Then, hurried by the constant notifications buzzing on her phone, she left our suburban villa. As she walked out, she shot me a final glance, her eyes full of disdain. Don't regret this, she scoffed. You'll be begging me to come back. Surprisingly, I didn't seek Jessica out at all over the next few days. Before, whenever I couldn't see her, I'd gradually be consumed by an endless longing that only subsided when we were together. I had expected to suffer the same torment this time. But strangely, my heart didn't feel even a twinge of sadness. Jessica could no longer pull on my heartstrings. I had already applied to detach from a system. And now, with the short time I'd left, I planned to say a proper goodbye to this world. I went to many places, all places I had planned to visit with Jessica. Trips that Lucas ultimately sabotaged. Her favorite restaurant, the Ferris wheel where we were supposed to kiss at the top, the concert of the singer she loved, and the children's home for my memories. Maybe I'd truly let go. Revisiting these places, I simply felt a quiet sense of reflection. In the past, my world had revolved only around Jessica, blind to the beauty around me. Looking at the world now, I realized it was much richer and more colorful than I had ever imagined. Boom, boom. I rode the Ferris wheel one last time. As my car reached the very top, fireworks suddenly burst brilliantly across the sky. A farewell for my departure, perhaps, I thought. When I got off, still somewhat lost in the dazzling memory of the fireworks, a familiar voice snapped me back to reality. Ethan, over here. I looked up. To my surprise, it was Jessica, whom I hadn't seen in ages. She was holding a bouquet of flowers and running towards me. Jessica ran up to me, bit her lip, and said softly, before I know I was too impulsive, I'm sorry. Hearing her apologize, I felt dazed for a moment. Ever since we got together, after every argument, I was always the first one to back down and apologize. This was the first time Jessica had ever initiated an apology. While I didn't respond, her eyes reddened and tears began to stream down her face, making her look fragile and beautiful. Ethan, I really know I was wrong, really, she sobbed. That day, I shouldn't have said those horrible things to you. Please, just forgive me this once, okay? Jessica gripped my hand tightly, looking at me insistently, tears tracing paths down her cheeks. It was as if she was genuinely afraid of losing me, but I knew the real knot in my heart wasn't about her yelling at me. Still, she was someone I had once truly loved. In the end, I softened. It was getting dark, so I offered to take her home. When Jessica heard my offer, her clear eyes lit up. For a moment, everything seemed beautiful, as if the ugliness between us had never happened. But a broken mirror can't be made whole again, I reminded myself silently. I had no intention of getting back together with her. Every time Lucas had sabotaged my proposal plans, every time Jessica had chosen someone else without a second thought, each instance had added another crack to the mirror of our relationship. Now, it was on the verge of shattering completely. On the way back, Jessica suddenly suggested we go shopping. Linking her arm through mine, she coaxed playfully, Since you've forgiven me, will you buy me a present, please? Ever since we got together, I had often bought her gifts, but we'd never actually gone shopping together to pick one out. She always claimed she was too busy with work, a constant excuse that had become a thorn in my side. I touched my chest. My heartbeat was steady calm. There was no thrill of finally getting this chance I'd wanted, only numbness, even a flicker of annoyance. I didn't let it show, forcing down the irritation. Treating this as our final outing, I replied in a low voice, "Okay, let's go. Downtown Plaza is right up ahead." Once we reached Downtown Plaza, Jessica eagerly pulled me into a boutique. Smiling brightly, she started looking through clothes, intending to pick something out for me. But before her hand even touched a hanger, her phone rang, breaking her concentration. It was Lucas. To reassure me, Jessica put the call on speakerphone. However, the voice on the other end wasn't Lucas, but one of his friends. "Jessica, Lucas's wound from his suicide attempt got infected. He has a high fever and isn't waking up," the friend said, his voice tight with anxiety. "He's at General Hospital now. You need to come quick." Jessica's face fell. She opened her mouth to ask more, but the call disconnected. Her hand froze above the closed rack, her eyelashes fluttering. I saw her turmoil. I knew when it came down to it, she would choose Lucas. So, I decided to make it easy for her. "You're the person Lucas trusts most," I said. "Go check on him." Jessica looked surprised that I was letting her go. Her expression was complicated as she turned to leave, promising, "Ethan, I swear this is really the last time." The last time. Watching her retreating back, I let out a short, bitter laugh and averted my gaze. In my mind, the system was still nagging me to give Jessica another chance. Host, the strategy mission is just one step from completion. It's a shame to give up now. Though it was just a mechanical voice devoid of emotion, I could swear I heard a hint of regret in its tone. "I'll make a bet with you." I thought back. "Bet what?" The system replied. "I bet Jessica will never change, ever." Shortly after Jessica left, I drove over to General Hospital where Lucas was. I got Lucas's room number from the information desk. On the way to his room, I thought I prepared myself for whatever I might see. Yet when I was right outside his door, I found myself pausing. Fortunately, the door was wide open, so I could see inside without having to go in. There was Lucas lying in bed, looking completely unharmed. Jessica was sitting on the edge of the bed, joking around with Lucas. My heart sank, but like some kind of masochist, I forced myself to keep watching. Lucas gazed at Jessica, then suddenly leaned in, startling her. "You've got something on your lip," he murmured with a low chuckle. "Hold still. I'll get it." Then he kissed her. Jessica shivered slightly, but didn't push him away. She leaned into the kiss, clearly enjoying it. Her face flushed pink. When the kiss ended, she playfully tapped his chest. "Behave yourself," she scolded lightly. "You know how jealous Ethan gets. If he saw this, he'd throw another fit." Hearing that made me feel sick to my stomach. I had to lean against the wall and take deep breaths. While she was kissing Lucas, did she spare a thought for me? The one she'd left stranded at the boutique? Or maybe mentioning my name just added to their thrill. Lucas asked casually, as if it just occurred to him, "Why are you even with Ethan? What's so great about him anyway?" Jessica paused for a moment before answering nonchalantly. "He's not great or anything. He's just suitable for marriage." Hearing this, Lucas seemed to sense an opening. He pressed on. "So, you're just with Ethan to get married? There's no love?" The question made Jessica hesitate, and I held my breath, waiting for her answer, too. "Ethan's a good guy, but sometimes he's just so dull. It feels like my life is missing some excitement." I stood frozen, her words echoing in my head. Lucas, however, grew visibly excited. He took Jessica's hand. "If there's no love between you two, then I'm willing to be the other guy. I can give you so much love." Just as I expected, Jessica didn't refuse. The system, on the other hand, was more worked up than I was, furiously cursing them both in my head. But I wasn't surprised in the least. I'd been to this General Hospital before. Back then, I was the patient seriously injured in a car crash, trying to save Jessica. She'd stayed by my bedside, right there next to my bed, while I was lying there in agony. Jessica and Lucas had almost crossed the line. Their cloying intimacy in the dark had felt suffocating. Even though they didn't actually go all the way, Jessica was probably afraid I'd wake up. Was there really any difference between that and actually sleeping together? Looking back now, I even wonder about myself. How'd I put up with it back then? How did I manage to endure it for so long? It's true. Love really does make you blind. But thankfully, I see clearly now, and it's not too late. System, did you record everything just now? Got every second. Don't worry. Hearing the system's confirmation, I turned and left, heading back to the house. That's right. I couldn't bring myself to call it home anymore. I'd had the system record Jessica and Lucas's little rendezvous in the hospital room, and now I was ready to set off on my own. I decided to take a trip. There are things in this world more important than love. After all, when the plane landed, the fresh, salty air, unique to Seaside City, seemed to clear the heaviness from my chest. I switched my phone back on, only to be flooded with notifications for countless missed calls. Buzz, buzz. Before I could even unlock it, it started ringing again. They were all from Jessica. The second I answered, Jessica's furious voice came through. Where have you been? Do you have any idea? I've been going crazy trying to find you. When she found out I'd gone traveling, she got even angrier, her voice sharp. You're so damn selfish. I'm here at General Hospital running myself ragged, taking care of Lucas, and you just take off on a vacation. You have time to go on a trip, but no time to visit Lucas while he's seriously hurt. She was working herself up, just unloading on me. Do you know Lucas asks about you constantly? You have no gratitude at all. Faced with these baseless accusations, I couldn't help but let out a short, harsh laugh. In that case, I replied, you should just be with Lucas. Without another word, I hung up and blocked Jessica. I'd only had a few happy days in the city. Just a handful, really. Before, I always put Jessica first, sacrificing my own time and space. It's a shame I figured things out so late. When I got back to the suburban villa, I saw someone crouching by the door. It was Jessica, looking utterly pathetic. The moment she saw me, she rushed over, crying, "What took you so long? I miss you so much, don't you know?" I stepped aside to avoid her. Seeing I was back, Jessica immediately slipped into her spoiled princess routine, clearly expecting me to comfort her. She held out her right hand, showing me a bandage on her finger. I cut my hand cooking these past few days. Her eyes welled with tears, completely oblivious to the fact she'd never cooked a single meal for me in her life. In the past, seeing her hurt like this would have definitely made my heart ache. But now I felt absolutely nothing. Jessica bit her lip, glancing sideways at my expression. I really can't live without you, Ethan. While you were gone, I couldn't eat or sleep properly. Suddenly, I thought about all the years we'd been together. 7 or 8 years. Countless days and nights when Jessica and Lucas ditched me to sneak around. I got through all of that alone. She'd only endured 7 days. How could you be acting so miserable? What about me? Jessica clearly noticed my coldness. She panicked, grabbing my sleeve and pleading, "Let's get married. Let's get married. Didn't you say you felt insecure? I'll give you security through marriage." My gut reaction was to refuse. But the system in my head went into overdrive, urging me on. Host, seize this chance. Jessica's affection level for you has always been 100%. Lucas was really just a mistake to her. I didn't answer. The system immediately made a bet with me. I bet you if you succeed in winning her over this time, I'll double your reward. And what if I lose? The system responded confidently. If you lose, it means my judgment was wrong. When a mission fails and I send you back to your original world, you'll still get the 1 million. It was a guaranteed win. I agreed. There's only a week left before I leave this world. I still wasn't used to just going through the motions. I put my all into planning the wedding ceremony. Lately, Jessica had been acting completely different, almost like when we first got together. She stuck close to me, ignoring Lucas even when he pulled his usual tricks. To the system, this change in Jessica was a sign the mission was succeeding. It couldn't have been more pleased. I couldn't help but wonder, was Jessica really ready to marry me? Had she truly changed? The day of the proposal arrived quickly. My final proposal. Jessica was dressed formally, looking stunning in a snow-white wedding dress that made her seem even more radiant. I could hear my heart pounding like a drum. I felt more excited, more hopeful than during any of the previous proposals. I dressed up carefully, earning compliments from Jessica about how handsome I looked. Her eyes held a lingering tenderness as she gently caressed my cheek. "I really want to spend the rest of my life with you." We'll have children, our own little family. I realized Jessica was genuinely envisioning our future together. My heartstrings were tugged again, but I quickly pulled back from that hope, regaining my composure. Everything she was saying was what I had always longed for. But Jessica was saying it too late. Now I didn't dare to hope anymore. The proposal ceremony was grander than ever. I went through the motions mechanically, repeating the same actions I had 109 times before. The system cheered internally, asking me, "Are you sure you don't want to stay?" "Not yet," I replied silently in my mind, my gaze fixed on the ring I was placing on Jessica's finger. I was waiting for Jessica to say I do. Sure enough, just as she was about to accept my proposal, Lucas showed up again. This time, though, he didn't cause a scene like before. He just stood there quietly watching Jessica. "Jessica, please, for my sake, don't accept Ethan's proposal." Jessica hesitated. Lucas continued, "Today's my birthday. Just spend these next few days with me one last time. I promise I'll never bother you two again after that." The words were barely out of his mouth when Jessica replied instinctively, "But today isn't your birthday. I'm celebrating early," Lucas declared, completely shameless. When Lucas arrived, the system had already been panicking in my head. Now, hearing his shameless argument, it was practically screaming, "Ethan, don't just stand there like an idiot. Do something. It's no use." Jessica didn't hesitate any longer. Once again, she let go of my hand. The moment she let go, I didn't yell or make a scene. I simply asked her, "Actually, I'm what's called a completer. My whole purpose was to win you over. If you don't accept my proposal this time, we'll never see each other again." Jessica looked at me frowning. It wasn't the first time I'd said it, but she never believed me. This time was no different. "Don't be so petty. How could you make up a lie like that?" Even though I already knew how it would end, hearing Jessica's words still made my heart ache uncontrollably. I stayed where I was, watching Lucas lead Jessica away. She didn't look back at me, not even once. I was left alone in the proposal venue. I gave up completely. I told the system, "It's time for me to leave, too." The system was silent for a long moment, then finally asked, "Do you have any last word for this world?" My mind churned with memories. Strangely, the happiest one was the trip to Seaside City. Jessica, the person I was closest to, had now left me too. I had no final words for the world. Before the end, I went to Northridge to kill myself, ensuring Jessica couldn't find me. As my blood flowed out, the warmth left my body, and my thoughts slowly sank into darkness. The moment I accepted death, all the pent-up bitterness I'd held on finally broke free. Bitterness and pain mingled, flashing through me along with memories of the past. Meeting Jessica, falling in love, it all felt like just a long dream now. A pity someone took it so seriously, banging their head against the wall 1,000 times, refusing to turn back. Now, even if I didn't want to leave this world, I had no choice. Just as I was about to depart from this world, a voice echoed from the void. The system's host said, "Don't you want to see what happens when Jessica returns?" My body was already dead, my soul drifting in the air. Having just escaped the pain, I didn't want to go through anything like it again, but the system held me back, refusing to let me leave. I sighed and answered, "Fine, let's see then." I was drawn to Jessica's side. I never imagined that my first encounter with Jessica after my death would be witnessing her affair. Perhaps because they hadn't seen each other in a while, their passion ignited instantly, clinging to each other. Lucas left a hickey on Jessica's neck, panting as he spoke. "This is our last indulgence before your wedding. We won't see each other again after this." She sounded reluctant, yet her body responded eagerly. The scene unfolding before me grated on my nerves. I felt like such a fool. How'd I never noticed? Even the system held its breath, afraid I'd mock it. Still, I couldn't help but ask, puzzled. "Jessica's affection rating for you was 100%. Why would she cheat? It doesn't make sense." I replied with a cold laugh. "That's because she has no moral compass." 7 days. 7 whole days. Jessica and Lucas spent 7 frenzied days together, leaving traces of their indulgence all over the room. Only then did she think about going home. On the way back, Jessica hummed, clearly in a good mood. She assumed I'd still be home waiting for her, because Lucas had said he wouldn't bother us again after this. She used 7 days of indulgence to end things with him, only to start this sordid chapter with me. How ridiculous. When she got home, Jessica pushed open the door to find the suburban villa empty. She ran a finger across the sofa. It came away coated in dust. None of my belongings were anywhere in the villa, as if I'd never lived there at all. Jealous again, still throwing a tantrum. Jessica scoffed, complaining about my sensitivity to Lucas, who had followed her inside. She was clearly impatient, but Lucas soothed her. Ethan must be upset. He's so possessive after all. He gently put his arm around Jessica's waist, his expression full of disdain. If it were me, I definitely wouldn't be angry with you. Soothed by Lucas, Jessica's frowns slowly relaxed. To my surprise, Jessica searched for me for a long, long time. She thought I was just hiding well. When she complained to her friends about how petty I was being, she was met with blank stares. Who's Ethan? Do you even have a boyfriend? Jessica's expression froze. When she repeated my name, her friends treated her like she was crazy. Are you under too much stress lately? We really don't know any Ethan. It was then that Jessica realized I had truly vanished. After my death, it was as if the world itself was erasing every trace of my existence. Jessica must have realized this, too. Remembering something I'd once told her, she panicked, frantically searching everywhere. Finally, she found the house where I had killed myself. It was a tiny little house, barely big enough for 2 people, yet big enough to hold our 8 years together. I bought it with the first money I earned after starting work. I couldn't afford a big house back then, so Jessica and I could only curl up together here, but we were happy then, happier than now at least. Jessica tentatively punched in the code. The date we got together, I never changed it because I was sure Jessica would never come here, but she did come just far too late. The moment the door opened, my already decomposing body was revealed before her eyes. She froze, stunned, then tremblingly entered the room, tears streaming down like broken strands of pearls. Ethan, how could you be so thoughtless? Did you think this would make me feel sorry for you? Let me tell you it won't. She glared at me hatefully, as if I were her enemy. Jessica bit her lip unconsciously, so hard she drew blood without realizing it. She kicked my corpse hard, yelling, "Get up! Stop playing dead. The dead can't be brought back to life, especially not when the body is already decomposed." Yet Jessica kept demanding the impossible from the unresponsive corpse. "Get up right now, or I'll marry Lucas. I'll make you regret this for the rest of your life." I scoffed from the sidelines, watching as Jessica's legs gave out and she crumpled to her knees before my body. She wept, a picture of frantic despair. I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. It was only this one time with Lucas. Really? People get distracted sometimes. Can't you just forgive me this once? Am I not allowed to make mistakes? Don't be so harsh. Why do you always have to be so petty? Jessica seemed possessed. One moment apologizing to me, the next berating my inaction. Even the system was speechless at her behavior. Seeing Jessica break down like this, I felt a pang of sadness myself. Even though I didn't like Jessica anymore, even hated her to some extent, I had genuinely loved her once. Seeing her in such a state now left me feeling weary and helpless. It was as if all those years we'd loved each other had been negated. Jessica raged and cried, trying everything, but realized that no matter what she did, I remained unresponsive. She finally truly panicked. "Quick, he's over here." The ambulance pulled up to the house. Waving frantically, she led the paramedics from General Hospital inside to take my body away. She wailed, begging the doctors to save me, her beautiful face twisting into an ugly grimace. Jessica stared intently at my already stiff corpse, her eyes filled with overwhelming hatred. "Why didn't you wait for me? You liar. I told you this was the last time. I said I'd accept your proposal when I got back. Why did you have to do this?" One thing after another. In Jessica's version, everything somehow became my fault. Even the system couldn't stand her melodrama and offered to teach Jessica a lesson for me. I didn't really feel anything for Jessica anymore. Her actions just seemed pathetic, and watching any longer would only make me feel sad and disgusted. I agreed to the system's offer. After a moment of dizziness, I was back in my own world. Along with me came the 10 billion the system had promised. Meanwhile, in the other world, the system detached from me and attached itself to Jessica. My death and the world erasing any trace of me had sent Jessica into a complete breakdown. She was now just like I had been at my lowest point, maybe even worse off. The system made no effort to hide its sarcastic tone, its mechanical voice dripping with mockery. Now that he's dead, you finally want him back. When you left with Lucas back then, did it ever occur to you that Ethan might kill himself? Jessica, startled by the sudden voice in her head, hesitated before answering. Are you the system? Then was he telling the truth that he was a player? The system scoffed and continued its taunts. Of course, it was true. But did you ever believe Ethan? You had so many chances to save him, but every single time you chose to leave with Lucas. Lucas could say anything and you'd abandon Ethan. Do you dare claim you loved him? Every word, every sentence felt like it was laced with blood and tears. Jessica gradually crumbled under the system's mockery, murmuring, No, I have my reasons. Lucas really needed me. The system lost its patience, its mechanical voice turning sharp. Needed you? Needed you in bed? Did you know that while Ethan was killing himself, you were screwing around with Lucas? That sentence completely shattered Jessica. She burst into tears but still tried to shift the blame. Lucas, it's all Lucas's fault. If he hadn't seduced me, I never would have made those mistakes. Even now, Jessica still refused to acknowledge her own fault. She became increasingly convinced it was all Lucas's fault. That's right. If it weren't for him, Ethan and I would have been together long ago. How could I possibly have turned down his proposal? The system was speechless. Faced with this raving woman, it had nothing more to say. Jessica, certain of her conclusion, shouted in her mind, If I kill Lucas, Ethan won't be angry anymore, right? He'll come back to me. Yes, that's it. The system was furious, repeatedly cursing Jessica out as a complete idiot. Just then, Lucas, having heard about her suicide, arrived at General Hospital. He sidled up to Jessica, feigning concern, and said soothingly in that two-faced way of his, Why would Ethan kill himself? He must have been too sensitive, unable to handle the slightest little thing. Lucas grinned, looking smug. It's better this way. Really. Now his inheritance will all go to you, and we can finally be together forever. Thinking about the future, Lucas actually chuckled aloud. But before he could continue his fantasy, sharp pain shattered his thoughts. Jessica, having gotten a scalpel from somewhere, plunged it straight into Lucas's stomach. Her eyes bloodshot, she twisted the scalpel in her hand. It's your fault. All your fault. You're the one responsible. You killed Ethan, and now you're trying to ruin me, too. Lucas howled in pain and slapped Jessica hard across the face. The two began to scuffle violently. My fault? You were the one throwing yourself at me. How else could I have succeeded? Now that he's dead, you're trying to act like a saint. As they fought, Jessica, refusing to accept reality, screamed back, You're lying. If you hadn't seduced me, my life would be so much better than this. She pulled the scalpel out and stabbed Lucas directly in the chest. Blood trickled from the corner of Lucas's mouth as he collapsed in front of Jessica. The final outcome was so absurd. Lucas died instantly from the stab wound. There was no time to save him. Jessica was convicted of intentional homicide and sentenced to death. It was a long time before I heard this news from the system. When I heard, I didn't react much. I just felt they got what they deserved. I was doing well in my own world. The system appeared occasionally, once asking if I wanted to see Jessica one last time. I refused. After all, I was married now, and my wife and I loved each other very much. For the first time, I understood what healthy mutual love felt like. Only after finding someone who loves me completely did I realize that love isn't supposed to be one-sided. The system listened silently and then left. In some hidden place I knew nothing about, Jessica, who had bound herself to the system to perform endless player tasks, was streaming tears. She had spent her entire existence just for the occasional chance to hear my voice, only to hear how I had moved on. From then on, for countless days and nights, she would live trapped in the regret she had created for herself.